Next up, we have Jack Underwood. Jack, come up to the stage, please.
Okay, I feel like Jessie J must have done in the Olympics opening ceremony when she had to sing "We Will Rock You." With Brian May though, so that was okay, wasn't it? And all the badges and everything. This is a poem called "Happiness." Yesterday, it appeared to me in the form of 2 purple elastic bands around a bunch of asparagus, which is a very small happiness, a garden variety, nothing like the hulking conversation cross-legged on a bed we had 10 years ago, or when I saw it as a thin space in a mouth that was open slightly, listening to a friend pinning them with an almost cruel accuracy, the sense of being known, making a space in their mouth that was happiness. There was the happiness of my mother as we sat on a London bus, her having travelled alone to visit her son, and she seemed more present, which might have been the luggage I was carrying for her that weighed heavy as her happiness or was her happiness. It is rare you see a happiness so nut-like as that which we permit my father to pass around when he is talking sentimentally, embarrassing us all. And of course, the goofy 10-gallon hats of happiness that children plant on us every time they impersonate knowledge. Or when I'm standing on a step, breathing it in and out, staying death and the deadness that comes after dying, sighing like a song about it. Or privately with you, when we're watching television, and everyone else can be depressed as rotten logs for all we care, because various and by degrees as it is, we know happiness because it is not always usual and does not wait to leave. My girlfriend of nearly 12 years now doesn't write poems, which is fine. It was absolutely fine. Most people don't. It's very normal. She's got time, I think so. So I thought to myself, well, it's unlikely that I'm ever going to get a sort of verifiable love poem written about me. So I did what anyone would do, which is write one for myself. And I looked up to see if anyone else was as horrible and disgusting a person as I am to think about. There was a couple. There was a few good ones. Dr. Johnson wrote one, which is very good. It was more of a sort of celebration of life. Mine's more of a celebration of how wonderful I am. Not really. It isn't really. Anyway, this is a love poem to myself. Your basic appetites and pale feet renew my faith in evolution. When you slide drunk into a bath, all the palm trees in Miami burn. When I think about your nervous system, its black market of strands, tearing electrics, I feel outwardly stupid. I love you, I say, and the room rings as if the air around my skin were the rind of something citrus. Oh, I didn't run my drink. I thought I was going to get a drink then. I somehow robbed myself of my own reward. It's horrible. I feel dreadful. Anyway, oh, how disappointing. Well, no, it's okay. Just go down for a poem instead. It's rubbish. So this is a poem about when you read some news and then you scroll down after the article to read what the assembled panel of twats have to say about the thing that you've just read. And the news was that Neil Armstrong had died, and my girlfriend called me in. I'm sort of explaining the poem, so I won't do it. But anyway, it was just this ridiculous thing that sort of became quite funny, I suppose, and weird. Anyway, it's called 13 Say. When Neil Armstrong died, you called me to your computer. Look, of the 89 comments on the article, 13 say, he's on the moon now. Why would he be on the moon? It's absurd. So I put my grandmother on the moon. I put Ian, who died, on the moon with Hillary, who died. I put the great cats on the moon, bouncing weightless and bemused, and I will put all of us, who are not dead but will be dead, on the moon. which from here is a quiet place, out of reach and strange, with a hard wind that rushes through, a rolling headstone that requires a giant leap and a sad and happy lie to get to. This is a poem, I don't know, whenever I go to airports, you tend to see more guns at airports than anywhere else. Certainly, generally in the sort of historically, I think. So anyway, and I sort of get that sort of weird thing with a gun. It's a little bit, I don't mind admitting that it's a little bit sexy, to be honest, a bit sort of, ooh, you know. It's the best offer I've had all week somehow, I don't know. But anyway, this is a poem about that. If guns were more popular in our culture, I'd be attracted to people who had guns the same way I'm attracted to people I suspect don't like me. I would walk up to them shyly with my hands up and ask for a hold. I'd say hollow point or wad cutter as if they were the nicknames of our mutual friends. It takes a certain person to shoot a certain person, I would suppose. With great power comes great guns. Can I look down the end? I'd watch them slide out the clip and droop the gun to me like a kneeling horse. I'd look in its hole, blow my cheeks. Thank you, I'd say. Thank you. How am I doing? Maybe 3 more, something like that? I'm a bit scared about having children. I want to have children, but I'm terrified of the fear and the anxiety that will, bring, which is always the price of being in love with something, isn't it? On a cheery note, these are my happy poems. I'm sitting down with Graham, they're going, what am I going to read? They're all so depressing. Anyway, this is called Poem of Fear for My Unborn Child. There we go. Which actually I got told actually by a friend, which is quite right, that an unborn child is a term which we should be less happy with, given abortion rights and the way that they're being constantly questioned by horrible people. Anyway. When I think about pushing your pram by the pond, all the dogs off their leads, nothing between us and the dark, weedy water, I drown you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I cannot save your soft head from the terrier whose jaws lock, that I wasn't looking the second you disappeared, leaving me hot and turning around for the man or any kind of words. And as you've grown strong enough for kites and canoes or walks to shops, again, I'm sorry I'm such a dreadful future father. I'm on the curb crying. I'm a mess with your scarf. All this fear, like a fizz building in a bad grey egg, is waiting for you. All this green stick nodular love, so tense, perversely stored like a bubble in my lungs, will be here, a huge trembling hand when you arrive. Occasionally, when I get a poem in something with a fairly decent circulation, I get letters. Letters sounds a bit ground. Emails. I mean emails. Nobody sends me letters. That would be letters. There's sometimes a carrier pigeon or whatever. No, I get an email like once a year from somebody who's read something in the New Statesman or whatever. But this poem I got 3, which I thought was very good, and they were mainly worried. So that's a nice detail for you to consider. This is a poem called The Spooks. I want to inject blood into the banana, then put it smartly in a bowl. I want somebody to idly choose it, peel it, then taste the strange rust a quarter way down and spit it out, see blood in the lemony mulch, a sort of red spit with the tiny black seeds. I want them to check their mouth for a saucer cut, and by now the person they're with will be confused, blood on the lip and the footwell at the gum edges, and say, are you okay? I want them to reply, there's blood. Then without even meaning to, without a logical tracing of thought, look back to the banana and see blood in the banana, feel the raw shock of something possibly unthought of. I want them to get to the idea that someone put the blood in the banana. An idea drinking heat from the skin but held, unable to understand to fit the reasons I want this to happen. Thank you. It's all right, you. Nobody applauds the natural feeling, the natural fear of like being a father. You're all happy to cheer and rattle away when somebody's essentially condoning a sociopathic act, so that's fine. Hello, good evening, Hackney. Okay. This is called Some Gods, and it's a list of gods. Not, well, anyway, it's a list of gods. God with eagle's head and 5-pointed star insignia on palms of hands. God connected to 7 IV drips with fire coming out of mouth. God made of warts. God with horse's legs and head of ram reading names from a scroll pointing to a hole in the ground. God surrounded by representatives from the animal kingdom. God surrounded by representatives from the kingdom of global finance. God with cobbler's last and washing line with human faces pegged along. God with merciful expression holding knife and fork. God as a female infant. God with stomach as gumball machine. God a smiling coma patient between starchy cotton sheets surrounded by cards and flowers. God banging human skull gavel to silence a courtroom of lesser gods. God being led into a courtroom and asked to confirm holy name. God in fool's attire inviting you to play a game of rummy. God as bronze medalist forcing smile on podium. God as golden ball of light forming in your chest. God as a feeling of intense and sudden cold. God as a feeling of sudden loneliness. God as a cup in your house that you haven't yet recognized as God but drink from nearly every day. God as a dead robin. God as the eye of a dead robin. God as your barely visible reflection in the eye of a dead robin. One more. I was going to read the Long Devil one, but now I'm going to read a short one about my nephew. This is about my nephew William, who, when you're a poet and you have a family, which is all poets, well, one hopes, when something good or bad happens, there's a certain itchy feeling that people in your family get when you see them, and they're sort of going, when's the poem going to happen? You can see them, has he written the poem about there? John's getting married next week. Has he written a poem? And when my brother got his wife pregnant, when my brother and his wife thought about having children and succeeded, and he was born, William, as he was, arrived, and I got to meet him when he was 4 days old, and it took me about 18 months to write the poem, in actual fact, because it was incredible, and this is the poem. William, at 4 days. When the lock chucks familiar, or a cat follows its name from a room, when silence is strung, or rain holds back the trees, I thought I had the lever of these. But weighing your fine melon head, your innocent daring to be, and mouth first searching, your tiny fist is allowed absolutely, and I am uncooked. I can feel my socks being on. Utter precious apple. Churchyards flatten in my heart. I've never been brilliant so scared. Thank you very much. Cheers.